Hi, and welcome to TruthToTell Community Connections. I'm Raylyn Prokaski.
And I'm Michelle Ali Marati. Andy Driscoll is taking a much-deserved vacation this week. Welcome all of you to the 6th edition of TruthToTell Community Connections, which is a series on location funded by the Bush Foundation and brought to you also by our production partners KFAI Radio and St. Paul Neighborhood Network. We're here at Avalon Charter School in St. Paul for a special youth takeover edition of TruthToTell. In this era of rapidly changing technology, widening access to information, unsure economic future, and drastically changing ethnic and racial demographics, it is time to start radically rethinking our systems for preparing and supporting young people.
Do we rely on test scores and statistics to tell us what's going on? Or should we go straight to the source and ask youth themselves? Perhaps a little bit of both. Here to help us find the right balance between the two are people who have researched youth habits, who work with youth, and people who simply are engaged in their communities as youth.
Yes, and we'll introduce our panelists in just a minute, but first we're going to watch a segment from the Sundance Family Foundation's documentary on youth empowerment called Invested. So let's roll that video.
We go by the 5 S's: style, season, stitching, so that means like holes or anything, size, and stains. Stains, if they have stains. Well, my name is Stella Richardson. I just graduated from Central High School. I'll be 18 on Thursday. The store really got me into like business, and I'm good at it, and I like it.
I dreamed this country, to come this country when I was little. My name is Shamsin Ur, and I was born in Ethiopia in 1990. I like to drink coffee because my grandfather make a lot of coffee, you know, so it makes sense.
And my name is Armani. I'm gonna be a senior this year. Like, I'm very determined, very persistent. Like, I'm just not gonna give up easily. I like to see where our vegetables and produce come from. I wasn't always going down the right path. I wasn't always the Armani you see today. Your home is supposed to be the safest place or the place you relax at. I couldn't really do that at home. And my mother was very abusive. So we've lived in foster homes before. My mom used to be out all night, and we were young, and so it's not like we could just cook food by ourselves. For a while, we lived on ramen noodles, like seriously. I saw how hard my mom worked, and I saw how she wasn't even happy. You learn in school, like, drugs are not the answer, or say no to alcohol, anything. You learn that in school, but then you go home and you're like, so why are you doing this again, and why do you act like that? Everything was still there, and then drugs just made it worse in a sense. That's when the abuse came.
Ethiopia, like, small country, and those who have money not, you know, live a good life. Those who don't, I mean, just live a poor life, I guess. My dad moved out from the city when I was little. Like when I was 3 months, you know, he moved to the United States. I moved out from my mom, you know, when I was, I think, 15. You know, I didn't even say goodbye to my mom, you know, that day, you know, because it's kind of hard. She was crying like all day, you know. She's a mom, you know.
Stella is my 4th child. She's my 3rd born daughter. She tends to really look on the bright side and find the good in everybody and everything. We started out on some shaky ground, I guess, our family.
When I was younger, my dad was abusive and mistreated my family. I haven't lived with him since I was 6. When I was about 10, we kind of stopped seeing him. It's kind of like you're missing something, I guess, but there's no way you can get it back. I feel like I was kind of looking for something to change my life, I guess. Like, just got out of junior high. And I didn't really think too much about what I wanted to do in my future. You know, I never really had any idea. I like school, but I didn't really like the core classes as much. I had a friend who I was kind of hanging around with after school, like, what are you doing? And she's like, hey, come follow me. I've got this place I go hang out at. Just sort of started coming and hanging out every day with the Youth Express. They bring teens in and then teach them about business.
In our opinion, a frightening number of young people are having no chance at any work experience before they graduate from high school. We've run the bike shop for 15 years, and that has always appealed more to young men. We were seeking to create another enterprise that would appeal more to young women, to work at.
It turned into the four of us sitting down every week, brainstorming all these ideas.
It had to narrow down to using the existing space, and it couldn't have a high startup cost, and it had to get to profitability pretty quick.
Had about, oh my gosh, just a million post-it notes of ideas for what to put in that space. Kind of writing up a business plan of what all of our ideas were, you know, figuring out how we were going to get clothes. When we first opened the store, it was really, really empty. You know, we just had a few racks that had a few things on them.
I do see in the future having my dream job and having the house I want to buy in the United States with the pool. Yeah, of course. Why not? You know, it's a dream, right? You gotta go for it. You know, when we get into Minnesota, the first day was, I'll never forget, you know, my dad was crying and hugging and stuff.
This chance is very nice son for anything.
We're really cool family, you know. I love my dad, you know. He's supportive too, so.
You know, to make the leap from being fairly new to the country to making these fancy drinks, there's a lot more learning that was going on. He's incredibly persistent. If a problem comes up, they call Shamsi. If anyone needs help, they call him. So he's really risen to the top in terms of his leadership and commitment. The CCC started as an idea with youth and adults together about how to increase interaction between the different generations, the older and younger generations. A lot of the adults in the community enjoy coffee, so the idea was we could start a coffee shop and have everyone together. And also how to start employment opportunities for youth, because with the economy the way it has been, adults are having to take jobs that kids used to take, and the kids are pushed out of the economy. And yet the families and the kids rely on being able to earn an income.
And when they come and Khalid smiles at them and say, hey, welcome, what can I get you? It just opens up. So it's not just a business, it's also a tool that brings the community together.
People have stopped by, they've stopped and talked with the youth and have said this is the greatest thing.
It's really nice, you know, I really love it.
Again, that was Invested, a short documentary from the Sundance Foundation, Family Foundation, excuse me, profiling 3 young people from the Twin Cities who have overcome their struggles and become empowered with a little guidance and a little support from their communities.
Now we're going to meet tonight's panelists. First, we have with us Caritza Mariani. Caritza is a youth work director at Augsburg College's Center for Citizenship and Democracy, where she directs multiple leadership programs there. And Caritza is also a graduate of St. Paul Central High School and has a degree in education from Augsburg College. Caritza, welcome to you.
Next, we have Heron Mariani, who you may have guessed is Caritza's little brother. Jerome graduated from St. Paul Academy's class of 2013. Jeron is also an accomplished MC, spoken word artist, and a board member and leadership member of Youth Thrive team. Youth Thrive is an organization that focuses on peace-building skills. Jeron, welcome to you, and congratulations on your graduation.
And we also have with us Rhiannon. I always want to say Rhiannon, but it's Rhiannon. Rhiannon McGee is an entering sophomore here at Avalon School, and she is an active member of her student congress. And she has been a self-starter in her project-based learning activities here at Avalon, and she is an avid volunteer for many organizations in her community. Rhiannon, welcome to you.
And Paris Carruthers is a member of the Youth Innovator Collective at Youth Prize, a spin-off of the McKnight Foundation that seeks to increase quality, accessibility, sustainability, and innovation of opportunities for learning beyond the classroom. Paris has been working in various youth development and other nonprofits since 2007. She plans on going back to school in the fall to pursue a degree in youth empowerment-related fields. Glad to have you, Paris.
Thanks. And we'll just have you guys be generous with that microphone. Just make sure to speak right into it when we call your name. We also have with us Naomi Montgomery, who is a marketing intern at Cookie Cart, and Cookie Cart is a community nonprofit bakery committed to serving youth in North Minneapolis. It's on West Broadway in North Minneapolis. And Naomi is also a psychology major at Metropolitan State University. Thanks for joining us, Naomi. Glad to have you all here. Now, we want all of you to join the conversation as well. And we're going to, Peter, we're going to have our Twitter feed up. Or no, we're not going to bring that up till after the break. That's right. He's reminding me of my plan here. We'll have you be able to tweet your comments and questions, and we'll have a live feed up here after we get back from the break. And you'll also be able to have your comments live on tape if you want. Raylyn will be coming out into the audience later on. But first, we'll start off the conversation by hearing some stories from our panelists tonight who will share their experiences with their respective school, out of school, or work programs. Each will attempt to briefly explain their definition of success, what has helped them succeed, or what may have caused them to struggle. And then we'll hear from you, the audience, as well. And our goal here is to bring to the forefront the information that policymakers and key stakeholders can use to make a difference in all of your futures by building up resources and eliminating barriers for emerging Twin Cities youth. So let's start with our guest from our host partner. Rhiannon, would you like to start us off? What story did you want to share with us today?
It's actually a story about a project I did here at Avalon, which was technically a failure. I didn't get to do what I actually wanted to. I was going to start a cafe here at Avalon in this room, but another cafe started up around the same time, and it didn't work out as well as I wanted it to. But with being able to talk with my advisors and my friends in the community, we decided that having the other cafe start up and figuring out how everyone reacted to the cafe was a better way for me to learn how I wanted to maybe do it again in the future, and what was a success, what didn't work, what I could do better next time. And having that outside viewpoint was one of the best things for the project.
Awesome. So what was your struggle like? Why was it so competitive to get a cafe started here?
Well, at first, I didn't know he was going to start the cafe.
Oh, okay.
And then we talked about it, and he said that he wanted to do something different than I was, so we were both going to start up. And then I was actually gone on vacation for a week, and when I came back, his was started and doing the exact same thing I was going to do, and it didn't work out.
So, but overall, it seems like we've got a drive here at Avalon for youth to really have their own startups, have that entrepreneurial spirit. And you said you'd started some other club here at Avalon, did you not?
Yeah, Odd Jobs Club, which was a small cleaning club that one of my friends and I started. It actually happened because one of the tables in our cafeteria was broken, and we went out with one of the tools we got from the office and fixed it. And we're like, this is fun. We should do this more. And so we sat down and talked to our advisors, like, this is what we're going to do. We wrote a persuasive essay at the end talking about how making the school cleaner and nicer place to be would help our community. And we talked to some of the students about what they thought. And yeah, that was a fun project as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's hear from you, Naomi. Let's just go down the line here and hear some stories. So you've sort of worked your way up the line at Cookie Cart.
Yeah, I did. I started back in September 2010.
Okay.
And I started out as just a little rookie, you know, just processing the cookie dough. And then I continued to work hard and stay driven as I usually am. And I got promoted to a cart captain, which is just another leadership position there, in April. And then once you turn 18, you usually exit the program. But they decided to create a position for me in 2012, I guess. And in January as a bakery assistant, which you just mix the dough and you actually get to use the ingredients and whatnot and just have just a higher leadership role there. And then in May of 2013, just a few months back, they offered me a marketing internship. And I was debating whether or not I should do it, but I knew in the long run it was going to benefit me, so I decided to accept it, and it's been going very well ever since.
Awesome.
Has that been challenging for you, taking on something so new?
A little, but I have a good teacher, so it's been going pretty well. It's just, I feel like they kind of trained me to do it before they even asked me about the internship, so it hasn't been going too bad. I pick up things pretty quickly, so it's all right.
Let's just take a quick moment to talk about the mission of Cookie Cart, because it's not just a place that sells cookies, right? It has a larger goal beyond that.
Yeah, it's basically a place where they offer teens, you know, life and career readiness skills through like classroom time and offering them certification, like the National Career Readiness Certification. That's just basically like ACTs, but for work, just to see how far you are in the work world wise, you know, how Cookie Cart can prepare you for that. And they offer you superior customer service skills. That's another classroom type thing that they serve there, and just things like that. It's more than just a bakery, though.
Awesome.
Way more.
We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Let's hear from Paris too about her experience at Youth Prize.
Youth Prize. I haven't been working there long. I just started this spring in April, and the experience there, it's so different from any other corporate job you can have. The youth-adult partnerships, the youth engagement, the level, and like the respect that you have with the other young people there, with the adults there, it's something that is so needed, and you don't really realize it until you get into it.
So it's a group of adults totally dedicated to finding solutions for young adults, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
And so what kinds of solutions do you examine? Like, what are some of the barriers you're trying to overcome?
I think the biggest one is, there's so many, but the biggest that I see happening in Youth Prize is the youth-adult partnership and the youth engagement. To really give younger people the opportunity to create things for themselves, to get their voice heard, to be like respected as a person and not just talked to or dictated.
Do you feel like those solutions reach outside of Youth Prize, or do they maintain within the same organization, or how does that look?
I think it does. I think it's kind of like a lead by example. Youth Prize is like a real leader in youth engagement and youth-adult partnership. And so like to have that example and to see how it actually works, it leaks out.
And they fund other programs as well, right?
Right.
Well, I'd like to get into some of the specifics of Youth Prize in a minute, but let's hear from Caritza and Heron.
Well, I coordinate youth work for the Center for Democracy and Citizenship at Augsburg College. All of my work happens on the west side of St. Paul, where I was born and raised. I have a variety of programs that go all year round. Right now, one of the barriers that we are tackling is employment, teen employment. And so I have a program called the Youth Apprenticeship Project. We hire about 40 teenagers to work in the neighborhood, and they get a variety of jobs within nonprofit and public sector, working with young people in small businesses. And they have 10 weeks, and we're partnered with the Youth Job Corps of St. Paul.
Okay.
And then during the school year, one of my biggest programs is probably public achievement, where young people work on social justice issues that they care about. At Humboldt High School, we focus specifically on the educational disparities between African American males and all other students. And one of my leaders of our group is here. And so we've gone into the school, talked to administration, worked with an elementary school nearby, Maxfield Elementary, to try to see what we can do to improve academic success of African American male students. And I've got a lot of other programs, but I won't get into all of them. Okay. On any given day, I might be at the Boys and Girls Club, I might be at the community center. I've got lots of things, and I have lots of fun around the neighborhood.
So you're going to be our resident statistics person, I think.
Oh, geez.
On the panel. Well, we'll definitely, I want to hear from the audience when we come back from the break about to see if anybody has any questions specifically about these types of programs, because particularly as you bring up employment for youth, we brought this up in the video, that it seems like a lot of employment that young people were typically taking up in the past is sort of they're being pushed out by adults that can't find work other places. Absolutely. Which is, it's just something that happens, but we have to figure out solutions for it. Yes. So let's hear a little bit from Haron before we go to break, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit. Is it okay to have your little brother take away?
We have a hard time sharing as siblings, yeah, it's tough.
So Haron, you've been really involved with Youth Thrive. Mm-hmm. I'd like to hear a little bit more about Youth Thrive. I don't know a ton about that organization.
Sure. Youth Thrive is a nonprofit in Northeast Minneapolis. We're right across the hall from Youth Prize, actually. And we run a number of different programs. One of them is Youth Thrive Live, and that's a hip-hop and performance team that takes the origins of hip-hop and rap, spoken word, dance, all these kind of things, to spread messages of youth leadership, peace building, community activism, things of that nature to young people. And then the artists helped the young people with their own creative expression as well. Another program is called Face to Face, where we run conferences between the youth of a community and the police officers of a community, because so often young people hate cops and cops hate rapscallion young people. So there's all that tension going on there. And the conference really does a good job of bringing those two groups together in a setting that they would never be in before and break down those barriers. Another program, which is one of our bigger programs, is called the Circle of Youth Engagement. And that's been a really important program to me, as well as to a lot of the members of our team. It's a youth leadership and youth adult partnership training that was written by the young people of Youth Thrive in partnership with the adults of Youth Thrive. And personally, I've gotten to go many places across the country to do trainings on the Circle of Youth Engagement for communities, for schools, for community action teams, a lot of different programs. So it's a really effective training and also a really helpful one for a lot of people.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take just a quick break here. We are live at the Avalon Charter School in St. Paul, talking about empowering young people here in the Twin Cities and talking about new ways to define success. Our panelists here are Caritza Mariani from the Center for Citizenship and Democracy at Augsburg College, Haron Mariani is a board member and youth leadership team member at Youth Thrive, Rhiannon McGee is a sophomore at Avalon School and student Congress member, and we've got Paris Carruthers, a member of the Youth Innovator Collective at Youth Prize. Naomi Montgomery also is with us. She's a marketing intern at Cookie Cart and a psychology major at Metro State.
We're going to go to a quick break here, but when we come back, There will be more conversation with our panelists, and throw it over to the audience here at Truth to Tell Community Connections Youth Takeover.
You are watching Truth to Tell's Community Connections series.
Welcome back to Truth to Tell Community Connections here at Avalon. We're doing a youth takeover. I'm Raylyn Prokaski.
And I'm Michelle Ali Murati. And welcome again to this great audience here at Avalon School in St. Paul. More conversation to come around tonight's topic of youth empowerment, success for youth by youth. But quickly, next month, on Wednesday, August 14th, we will travel up to the White Earth Reservation to speak with leaders up there about the issues facing the indigenous communities that live there, as well as tribal members living back here in the cities. We'll post more about the next edition of Truth to Tell Community Connections on our website at truthtotell.org. And you can also see the latest updates on our Facebook page, facebook.com/truthtotell. And now we'll return to our panelists live in the audience here on the topic of youth empowerment. For this portion of the show, we'll look to you, the audience, as well as our panelists, as well as our Twitter feed. How many of you guys have access to Twitter right now? 2, 3, okay, well, so maybe it won't be so active. 4. So if you want to tweet, you can see comments live up here on the screen. You can also just raise your hand, and we've got Siobhan in the back here. We'll have one microphone, the woman in red with the lovely Irish accent that we always like to point out. And then we've got Raylyn over here in the blue. So we had lots of issues come up in the video that we saw first at the top of the show, and then we've also had some come up here, like Rhiannon, if you were to take your cafe idea somewhere else, like not in school, would there be a place for you to do that? Naomi, we didn't even get into why you started at Cookie Cart, so we could go a lot of different directions here. But I think I would like to start with jobs. How would we feel about talking about jobs for youth? How many of you in here have a job? How many of you have had to spend a really long time looking for that job, or have had struggles trying to find jobs in the past? Show of hands, we've got one. Let's talk about some of the barriers that are out there. You know, I've worked with Youth Job Corps and some of the youth programs that I've done, and Caritza, you work with that too. And they have some strict limitations on who can be eligible to apply for those jobs. And so there have been some youth that have applied for those programs that are, you know, founded with really great intentions, but there's some people who sort of fall just above that income line, but are still struggling, could still use the help, and aren't quite being reached. Have you had that experience?
Yeah, this past year, actually, our center worked to raise funds so we could hire some young people ourselves. We have, in the city of St. Paul, the YJC is just for St. Paul residents. One of my students, Devon, he goes to Humboldt and is involved in lots of my programs, but he lives just about 2 blocks outside of the border of St. Paul. Oh, no. And so he wouldn't have otherwise qualified for my program. Yeah. And so since our goal is to build a lot of relationships with young people and keep them involved in lots of things, we took it upon ourselves to raise funds so we could hire 7 ourselves on top of the ones that we were allocated from the YJC program. Mm-hmm. But it's not easy finding that much money to employ people. So. And then there have been students that have been in a number of my programs that don't fit the income requirement. And so we sort of look into our network and our partner pool to see if we can hook them up somewhere else and get them some kind of job. But it's tough. I have students asking me every week if they can use me as a reference. They are putting in lots of job applications at the mall, at fast food places, sort of anywhere that they can get their foot in the door. So I think it's important continue to try to build up programs like the Youth Job Corps and then others that can support them.
Paris, is Youth Prize doing anything around this kind of work, helping youth find jobs or helping them be ready and competitive to apply for jobs?
Yeah, Youth Prize is always, I mean, the job that I actually have is one of their programs that the last innovative cohort came up with. So there was 3 actually. So they have, right now, the Change Fellows is happening. Submissions just went in. And that's another, I mean, one more program.
Is that an AmeriCorps program?
No.
No, okay.
Nope, that's through Youth Prize.
Okay.
So they'll be working with Youth Prize and Studio E on their own business plans, up and coming. So,
awesome. And Naomi, I know you've had several jobs here at Cookie Cart. Tell me about how Cookie Cart works to help youth in other ways other than just serving them cookies. We touched on that a little bit earlier. I know it's got kind of a really fun past, and it started in it started in a woman's house, right?
Right. Then they expanded, and we have our own bakery now. And what it is that our thing is it's more than just a cookie. It's strengthening my community. It's just one of our mottos. And so what it is that every teen there has to go through customer service training and this classroom training that we call the 360 class, and it's just a life and career readiness class. It just shows you how to act in the bakery and in other workplaces, and what's appropriate, what's not, and just how to be a good worker, how to cooperate with other teens in the bakery, just how to be a good person in general, to be honest. And then customer service training, it teaches you how to act on sales events and how to properly say hello to someone and give good eye contact and just get those sales up,
And is there an income requirement to work at Cookie Cart? Do you have to prove that you have a low income,
oh, no,
you do
not at all.
Youth Job Corps? No. People who are interested can just show up and...
Yeah, ask for an application, then you fill it out. We like for you to fill it out right there and then hand it in, and then we'll go from there.
How many people do you have there on your staff at any one time?
Well, teen-wise, there are about 75 teen employees.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Brianna? Do you have a job somewhere?
I do not.
Would you be looking for one, or have you looked for one?
I actually have been looking for one because I'm now 15 and can technically get a job somewhere, but it's really hard. There's hardly anywhere that's hiring teens in just job-wise. I know
what kind of jobs have you been looking for?
Well, I'm interested in going into business, so I've been looking for an internship, not necessarily paying, but at a business where I can go and get experience and actually get to talk to people about businesses in this community. And I have had some experience with small businesses, but it's really hard to find someone that's willing to take you in, especially because you have no experience otherwise.
Have you had anyone that's been able to help you sort of suggest where you should apply, or
I
recommend you to a particular business?
I haven't been looking at it for very long. So I haven't really talked to anyone. I mean, I've talked to my parents about it a little bit, but I've just been trying to kind of see what I can find for myself, and then you can go and talk to people that I think will help me.
Okay.
From specifically Naomi and Heron, how their experience with Cookie Cutter and all of that outreach, how many people have you seen take that experience move forward with it? Take the experience that you've given them or that you've gotten and use that in your next job or next step?
Well, I know a bunch of teens that aren't at Cookie Cart anymore. They got their next job, and they said that it was so easy for them to get the job, because Cookie Cart prepared them so well for it, because we did mock interviews and whatnot, and so they came in there overly prepared, and they said it was just a breeze to get in, and now like some people, they're already like a manager at their next job, and they only been there for just a few months, and that's because Cookie Cart was just so good to them, and they taught them so much that it's gonna stay with them for like the rest of their life.
We'll hear from Heron.
Yeah, similar with Youth Thrive. A lot of the older people that were kind of around when I was a rookie there have gone on to college. One of them, Franny, is going to be joining me in Boston when I go to college next year. And they've gone on to different jobs, United Way, different community outreach partners. So similar story to Naomi. The program just does a really good job of preparing people for that professional life, that professional relationship with other adults, with other youth, and also just being really responsible and self-driven, because if you don't have those things going into a job, then it's going to be really hard to keep a job or to move on to that manager position or that supervisor position, whatever it may be.
And so we've been talking about jobs, and it seems like what's coming up as far as defining success is that there needs to be some sort of pathway to start. Like Rhiannon's is still looking for a place to work, and she needs people to kind of help her navigate that system to, you know, places that offer, like Cookie Cart, a way for you to start out. You get really extensive training up front, and then opportunities to move up the ladder, and then, you know, as people move on, you say it's not really a struggle for them to find another job after that, because this first opportunity was so comprehensive and so thorough in the way that they train people. And then there's also the matter of, you know, whether or not folks can get a little help from the city through a program like Youth Job Corps, like Caritza works with, or whether or not they can get exposed to conferences like Youth Thrive. So these are all factors that come into what we're hearing about, you know, being successful in the professional sense. Can we talk a little bit about education and how that impacts the success of young people and what struggles people might be having, or a particular success story that they'd like to share? And we can take that to the audience too. If anybody has a story about how their education has helped them, or a particular struggle that they've had with education. Is there anyone out there that wants to talk about that?
Rhiannon, can you talk about Avalon a little bit? I am actually, I am alumni of Avalon.
Full disclosure.
And so, shameless plug. Yeah. So can you talk about Avalon and what, how it empowers you and how it changes your perception on things?
Can we get the microphone over to Rhiannon? All right.
Now you can hear me if I talk about it. Avalon is a project-based school, so it means students get to pick subjects that they find interesting and that will help them learn in a way that they want to learn. And then the advisors are there to help you steer back into actually getting all of your core knowledge. We do have core classes that you can take. I know a couple students who have actually started their own classes that people can take to cover a few subjects. You can start groups to cover a certain thing if you don't want to do it just by yourself. And it's a great experience to kind of figure out what you like to learn about, what you're passionate about, and what you want to do when you get out of high school and into college or into jobs. And I think it's a really awesome opportunity for students.
I'll point out that I didn't know this at first, that is it all charter schools? I'm looking at you, Nora, are also public schools? Is that, okay. So it's just a non-traditional public school, is what we'll call it. And you guys are actually part of the St. Paul school system, right? Public school system? No? What? I'm passing it on to Nora Whalen.
So a charter school is just an independent school district.
Okay.
And we have almost 200 students. Some charter schools in Minnesota are very traditional and follow programs that you would see in any large district. Mm-hmm. And then some, like us, are non-traditional, and we try to do things a little differently. I'm kind of proud to say that Minnesota was the first state to have charter schools, so we have the oldest tradition, and it was created to develop innovation. So our goal here is to try something new and try something different. And Rhiannon is a perfect example of it. I mean, you came to us and said, we need a space, and you know, any of our staff could sit on a panel, but really it's the students who kind of drive the program and drive the discussions that we have. Rhiannon's older sister, you know, leads the peer mediator group. And
that's you right there.
Yes.
Okay.
Helen, so it's really,
Rhiannon's sister's here.
We can't run a school, just 20 staff. We need the students to really participate and be involved in their own education.
So it's a collective effort here. Do we have any? We don't have any tweets, you guys. We need some tweets. On the subject of education still, do we have anybody here to represent the public schools? Any public school, traditional public schools, I should say, sorry. Nobody wants to represent public schools. Naomi, what school did you go to? You went to Central. Yes, I want to hear from you, Karitza. Let's talk about Central High School. And
St. Paul Central.
Did you have... Do you feel like there was anything there that directly contributed to success that you have now, or directly contributed to any struggles that you had post-high school? Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I had two really great mentors at the school, Miss Katie McGuat and Steve Scroggins, both people that worked a lot with students of color and focused on sort of advancing students as far as they could go. And really, I just kind of strive to be like people like them in what I do. And this past year at Humboldt High School, this was my first graduating class. So Indira Valerio, who I brought along with me, I met her as a freshman at the school, and now she's graduating, going on to wonderful things. But with my graduates this year, I mean, it was just sort of very overwhelming the last about month of school. All of the sort of the love that I was getting about, you know, how much my presence impacted their education, just being there, not necessarily teaching them math and English, but being able to get them over some of their barriers and roadblocks so they could be clear-headed enough and focused to learn math and English. So I think that, you know, when it comes to education in the public schools, finding those people, or in any school, because I'm betting the same thing here at Avalon, you know, that there's staff that you can connect to and will help you advance.
And so I'm curious, because Heron, you didn't go to Central. You went to St. Paul Academy, is a private school, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So I'm curious why you took the private school route when your sister took the public school route.
It was honestly more of my parents' decision. Yeah. I went to Highland Elementary, and I was looking forward to going to Highland High School with all of my friends from Highland Elementary. And my parents decided that they wanted me to go to SPA. And I think it was for a lot of the reasons that my sister is saying. There's a different support system there. There's a different kind of community environment. My brother actually went to Highland High School, and my parents just weren't happy with the support that he got from the adults there, the environment of the young people there, and they just said that they wanted something different. So they tried something different with me, and it worked out as far as their perspective.
So as far as the way you would define how you were more successful in that situation in a private school, you would say that you were getting more individual attention?
I wouldn't necessarily say I was more successful. Mm-hmm. I think the private school system, some kids might need that a little bit more, that a little bit of extra support, a little bit of extra attention, and I think I might have been one of them. But I wouldn't say that I was necessarily more successful than any of my friends that went to Highland or went to Central or anything like that, because I have friends that have gone to Highland and have gone on to Princeton. So it's really just a lot about the young person and about the community that's supporting them. And I think that's why what my sister does is so fantastic. Another shameless plug.
All right. And then Naomi and Paris, did you two go to high school here locally? Naomi?
I went to Southwest High School.
To Southwest in Minneapolis?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And so how did you feel about your experience there?
Well, it was definitely an experience. It was very different from the middle school that I went to, because I went to Urban League Academy, and it's very small and not a lot of diversity. But when I became a freshman at Southwest High School, it was just like, wow, just a big change. Very big school, a lot of diversity. There's an IB program. I feel like Southwest is definitely the #1 school in Minnesota. And I know I learned a lot. I met a lot of great people that, you know, I would know for like the rest of my life who can help me get to where I need to be. Especially
And
like during,
when you
like,
say great
college.
people, are you specifically referring to
Like
teachers or
yes.
peers?
Yeah,
or
teachers, assistant
teachers
principals.
especially?
Like even some of the hall monitors, like they taught me a lot just, you know, roaming the halls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, well, I want to hear from Paris too, and then I want to talk to you guys about what the goals are for, like, what a high school should be preparing you for. Paris, where did you go to school?
A lot of places.
A lot of places.
I actually grew up in St. Paul. I ended my last year in St. Paul was Twin Cities Academy, so that was a charter school. That was my 7th grade year, and then I moved out to Egan, and that's where I graduated.
Okay.
So it was a big change, and my school career is not the pretty one. Mine is the, I mean, it had a lot to do with me, so I wasn't really focused, and my mindset was on a lot of home things, like a lot of young
Do you feel
people
like
today.
you would have been helped if you had better support from people at your school, or do you feel like they were being supportive or reaching out to you to be supportive when you needed them?
Looking back and like in this situation, from junior high up, it was more the teachers that I had. Really, I didn't feel like I got what I needed. I feel like it was more of a, we're here, we have to teach you, and you're kind of like the problem kids. And that's just what I felt from junior high and up, especially going out into Egan, not Egan High School, Burnsville, and then Burnsville ALC. So it was a lot of just feeling like we're just here because we need to be. Here's your work.
They don't really care about what's being taught or whether or not it reaches you.
No, and there wasn't a lot of relationship building, and there wasn't a lot of support, and there wasn't a lot of you can talk to us and you can come get that.
And so, oh, go ahead, Raylan.
I had a very similar experience my freshman year of high school. I actually transferred to Avalon my sophomore year, and it was a night and day difference, night and day. And when I felt, it's amazing to have the independence and everything that this place gave me, but at the same time, the relationships were there. I felt for the first time, even since elementary school, that someone cared that I learned something and it stuck with me. And it wasn't just books and answers and tests. It was, you need to be able to use this in your real life. So, and I didn't get that at a traditional public school, and so I can definitely relate to that situation.
And so the last thing that I was hoping we could touch on is activism, or being out and being engaged in your communities. How many of you guys are involved in an after-school program, something outside of school that you're really committed to? I see a couple hands going up. One of the compelling statistics that I've read from both Youth Prize and Sprockets, which Caritza, I know you work a little bit with the St. Paul Sprockets program as well, which is a program that is committed to helping St. Paul provide quality out-of-school time programming, is that young people actually spend way more time out of school than they do in school. And so it kind of makes you think about what we should be pouring resources into, what we should really be focusing on. I mean, obviously education, learning your core subjects is important, but we shouldn't ignore the time that young people spend out of school. So I've got some people that raised their hands about programs that they're involved with. Does anybody want to shout out what programs they're involved with? I know we have some people from Youth Express. Don't be shy. I know we have some people from Cookie Cart. Yep. Cookie cutter people are standing up to represent. So what do we do to try to ensure that those programs are meaningful for young people and that they create a pathway for, being able to be employable and being able to have strong ties and being engaged in their communities? Anybody want to? We have 5 minutes, so we'll briefly talk about this.
I'm going to call out one of my students. One of our programs, Public Achievement, we've been able to make strides to integrate in the school, part of the school day. So Devon, who is here, he would spend an hour of his school day being able to work on social justice issues. He was also able to be excused from school once a week to work with elementary school students. I was wondering if Devon wanted to maybe talk about why programs like that in the school, instead of having to, go search in the community, having them in the school is valuable.
Siobhan's going to hand you the microphone there. There you go.
Wait, what's the question?
Why is the time in public achievement, being able to focus on being involved, important part of your school day instead of something that's just happening on the side?
Cause I don't know, it's fun and it's it's school, but it's not school. You learn life skills in school, which school should be teaching you, and they don't. Yeah.
And what kind of life skills do you feel you've been learning in this program?
Like a mentorship, because Kadi's my mentor, so and I want to be a mentor one day to people, so I've learned how to actually be one. And I don't know, there's more, but I'm nervous. I don't want to talk right now.
Okay. We won't make you talk. I promised I wouldn't pressure anybody.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Rules. Yeah.
You can pass it to Indira, because she can also talk about public achievement. Indira got involved in public achievement as a freshman working on homelessness, right? Teen homelessness. And then we also worked on a large project, community project, on immigration.
So what am I saying?
What is the significance of programs like that to you?
Well, I guess I'll base it off of the community project that we did. We tried to find the similarities between each and every different culture. We had a Hispanic group, a Somalian group, and an African group, and we found that they all kind of have the same ties. Everybody kind of looks at each other like, ooh, you're black or you're Mexican. But in reality, we all have the same family ties. We all care about our family. We're all hard workers. We all have our food and stuff like that. And we ended up with a big project, big celebration, bringing everybody together in a big mural of how we're all one big family. We're just a little bit different.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for sharing. Tell me your name one more time.
Indira.
Indira, thank you very much. And what program do you work with Caritza in?
I did everything. She was my
it's true.
She was my cheer coach. She was my youth leader, my mentor, my second mom, my everything.
Awesome. Well, unfortunately, we must end the show here. The time always goes so fast. Thanks to everyone for joining us tonight. Caritza with the Center for Citizenship and Democracy at Augsburg College, Heron Mariani, board member and youth leadership team member at Youth Thrive.
Rhiannon, I want to say Rhiannon, McGee, sophomore at Avalon School and student Congress member, Paris Carruthers, a member of Youth Innovator Collective at Youth Prize.
We also had Naomi Montgomery, who's a marketing intern at Cookie Cart and psychology student at Metro State. Thanks to all of you. And many thanks to our live audience here at Avalon. And very special thanks to Nora Whalen and Kevin Ward with Avalon, and Stacy Schlueter with Cookie Cart, Trenton Henspeter with St. Paul Youth Job Corps, Tammy Dickinson with Minneapolis Step Up, David Kim and Marcus Pope with Youth Prize, Eric Skold with St. Paul Sprockets, and Randy Treichel with Youth Express, and Nicola Pine with SPNN Youth, because we had so many great people helping us with this. Thanks to everyone who made this possible.
Remember, Truth to Tell airs every Monday morning at 9 a.m. on KFAI FM. Check SPNN's and MTN's online schedules for airing of this show and other Community Connection shows on cable channels 19 in St. Paul and 16 in Minneapolis.
Truth to Tell is a co-production of Civic Media Minnesota and KFAI, and you can find all of our past shows up on truthtotell.org.
Many thanks to our crew, our video producer David Zierot, and the entire SPNN crew, also the Truth to Tell's crew, Mark Kerner,
Peter Hansen, Siobhan Kierans, thanks to Raylan Pokaski, and we'll be back next month with another edition of Truth to Tell Community Connections. As always, please do take care of each other.